So next I'm going to show how to get a basic 3D scene up and running now that we have our transport and we have a reference to a clock. So I'm going to add instrument 3D P3D, which is a 3D node, the main 3D node or scene in ProtoPad, and hit create. And that creates this example 3D scene. To toggle between full screen and collapsed is tap on that label instrument. So it has pinch and zoom and pan and all the regular camera controls. So in order to get into the code for that scene, you would double tap the P3D node. Only scriptable nodes are double tappable, and can you change the code inside of them. So for example, this clock node does not have any script associated with it. It's a native node. But the P3D node, I can double tap it and I get the code. So I'm going to hit play and nothing's going to happen. And the reason nothing is happening is because there is no clock coming into this node. You'll notice that the nodes have input sockets, named input sockets, and one of them is clock. And that is referenced inside of the P3D node through the node inputs clock. So node inputs is a dictionary which has the keys as the input value, the input socket names. So those are referenced up here in the preamble to the script, which I'll go over later. So in order to reference a value within the loop function, you would get the value and assign it to a variable. The call sequence to scripted nodes are, it runs setup when it's instantiated or when it's created, and it runs loop for each new clock value or input socket value. Doesn't necessarily have to be clock. So in order to get the scene actually moving, we would have to drag the clock from the transport control clock, which is, this is the main one and it's named main. So from the output socket here, you drag it into the input socket and it begins making it move. You can double tap to make it go back to its initial camera position. Some of the other things you can do in here are create a skybox, a floor, and change different attributes about the 3D scene. So I'm going to paste in a few things that you can do. So this first one is, if you want to give it a skybox, you use the node's make default skybox method. There are other methods that allow you to control the parameters of that skybox. So now we have a skybox. You can also create a floor. Some of the built-in floors are one called Tron, sculpted floorboards, oak floor, and granite. Excuse me. So we'll try that. If you want to see the statistics for your screen, your scene, as far as frame rate and other things, you can set shows statistics to true. By default, it's false. And that gives you this here at the bottom of the 3D scene, which you can click on to give you these statistics. You can change the way that objects are rendered and many other things which will be shown later. But for example, if you wanted to show a wireframe, then you can use the P3D scene debug options .wireframe, and there are other options under there also. For each change to the script, you need to hit the save button.